We begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship. We also acknowledge that people of African descent have been in Nova Scotia for over 400 years, and we honor and offer gratitude to those ancestors of African descent who came before us to this land.
Thank you, Doreen. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sarah. As Doreen said, my name is Wanda Colley. I'm the interim executive director here at Imhotep's Legacy Academy. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm honored that you have chosen to attend this session. I, in association with my colleague, Mr. Asher Trim-Gaskin, who's the program manager, will be presenting this afternoon. So I'm going to share my screen. We have a PowerPoint that we'd like to go through and present to you and to give you some information about Imhotep's Legacy Academy. So Imhotep's Legacy Academy, we are a nonprofit, science-based organization. We're based on the Dalhousie University campus. Our mission is to increase the representation of persons of African heritage in STEM professions and in STEM studies and in STEM profession. We do this by informing, inspiring, and educating and supporting African Nova Scotian students to enter into STEM. ILA has been in existence since 2003. We started out with the after-school program, which at the time was a pilot project that was operating out of Caledonia Junior High School in Dartmouth, and has since expanded to not only the after-school program, but other programs, as you'll learn about later in the presentation. Asher will share information with you with regards to the different programs that we have. And the reason that we have a plethora of programs, or that we offer a plethora of programs, is that we understand that all children learn differently. Children have different interests, and so the more programs that we have, the more likely we'll be able to draw in a wider swath of children. So the name Imhotep's Legacy Academy, who is Imhotep? Imhotep was a commoner in Egypt who lived around 4,600 years ago. He was a self-taught individual who was considered a polymath. He was knowledgeable in medicine and architecture. As a result of his genius, he ended up working with the dozier at the time, the pharaoh at the time. He's known as the designer of the step pyramid that exists in Saqqara, which is considered a precursor to the great pyramids that we know today. As I mentioned, Imhotep's Legacy Academy was founded in 2003, and the brains behind the operation were Dr. Kevin Hewitt, who is a professor here in the Department of Physics and Atmospheric Science at Dalhousie University, Dr. Barb Hamilton Hinch, who most people have heard of. Dr. Hinch is an Indigenous African Nova Scotian, and she is the Associate Vice Provost of Equity Inclusion here at Dalhousie University, as well as being a professor in the School of Health Professions and Recreation. And Mr. Wayne Hamilton, who himself is an Indigenous African Nova Scotian, is very well known within the African Nova Scotian community, and is formerly the executive director at the Office of African Nova Scotian Affairs. As I mentioned, ILA was started as a project for 30 African Nova Scotian students as there were and are very few African Nova Scotians in STEM who are involved in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I'll hand it over to Asher.
ILA has a very unique structure. We have what we refer to as a tri-mentoring system. As you can see from the diagram, the tri-mentoring system refers to the professors and professionals. We have 10 of them currently who are part of the ILA board and or assistant professors who assist the university students in their preparation of programs to our secondary school students, which are our African Nova Scotian students. We hire about 35 plus university students, and I will highlight that all of the persons, all of our presenters, all of our mentors, all of our coordinators, they are university students, and they are the ones who are hands on, they're the ones who are there in person connecting with our African Nova Scotian students. And as I said, we reach approximately 1,400 plus African Nova Scotian students throughout the entire academic year throughout our various programs that we have. We have 4 ILA full-time staff that assist the entire operation of Imhotep's Legacy Academy. We were lucky before the pandemic to actually engage one of the highest numbers that we've had so far of 1,800 plus African Nova Scotian students pre-pandemic. As we go on to the programs that we have, you can see that we tailor not only for our 6 to 12, but we are engaging our students in the K to primary bracket as well as the university. Amongst the list of programs, you will see various overlap. This overlap is because we've noticed the interest. The students, through our strategic planning over the years, we've realized that these students actually, you can't limit students. We don't have a policy at ILA where we turn away students. So for instance, if we have a student who is in the ILA coding program, which was initially targeted for our 10 to 12 age group, and we saw a student who was in grade 7, grade 8, and they were interested in coding, then we made the way possible for them to engage in that program, as our mission is to inspire, nurture, and support students of African descent so that they are engaged or so they can have a pathway into STEM professions. So if we are saying no to students, then are we really supporting them? For our primary to 5 students, we have what is called a Science Magic Show. Science Magic Show is not only limited to our K to 5 students, but that's also part of our 6 to 9 and 10 to 12 age group. This is a time where we allow students to know what is available to them, what resources can Imhotep's Legacy Academy or ILA provide to them throughout their academic journey in STEM, and I dare say throughout the academic journey in general as they progress with the eventual aim that they go on into post-secondary education. Also, that is related to our K to 5 are Summer Scholar Rockets, Summer Scholar Drones, STEM Reading, and STEM Tutoring. All of these programs were possible through the African Canadian Services Division, and that is actually happening currently. We finished a trip recently to Digby on Monday and Tuesday, and currently we're in Antigonish, actually about to launch some rockets with some students. In the previous week, we were at Beachville, and we were in Lucasville also of last week. Unfortunately, we were not able to make it to Cape Breton for this Summer Scholar Rockets and Drone activity, but we hope to engage them in the upcoming week with an actual fun day that is connected to another community member who came through the program and actually enjoyed. She was a mentor, she was a participant, and now she's just assisting us in continuing the work in Sydney, Cape Breton. In our 6 to 9 age group, you have what is called the after school program, which, as Wanda mentioned, that is the first program that ILA had presented, engaged students with. We realized that students actually don't get the opportunity to connect with hands-on science activities. So this is that opportunity for students to engage with science, touch it, understand it, and begin to really propel themselves in their understanding of science. We also have what's called the first Lego League program, Science Quiz Tournament, and ILA Coding Program. The Science Quiz Tournament is a tournament that we have started and we'll be going into our fourth year, and this year is related to math. It's a competition based tournament. As you see, it's not only for our 6 to 9, but it's also for our 10 to 12 students. This is where we engage students in teams because we're all about building community spirit at ILA. And through these teams, they learn together, they compete together, and eventually they have fun together at the tournament. Not only do they engage with science, not only do they are they tested with persons of African descent who have come along the path or who have trailblazed the path for us future generations to get into STEM, but they also engage in science activities. We haven't forgot where we came from, and that is the after school program, engaging students. So even in our science quiz tournament, we have a component that allows our students to engage in active science activities. Also happening currently for a 6 to 9 and 10 to 12 age group is our STEM essay competition. As I mentioned before, we are STEM based, but we also realize that in order to be a good writer, you need to have an understanding of arts. You need to be able to understand English. Although we don't actively assist in these areas, we do understand the importance of it. And this is just one way, or another way, I should say, that we are engaging our students actively in not only science, but their academic journey. For our 6 to 9 age group, we have what is called the agricultural project. This is a project which will be piloting. We'll be starting this program in the upcoming 2022-2023 academic year. And currently, we have a STEM exhibition, which is African Canadians in Science and Technology exhibition that started yesterday and will be continuing today under the auspices of Dr. Francis Jeffries. He's the one that is leading that exhibition for us. And fortunately, that is an exhibition that we hope to continue in the academic year in years to come because our students don't engage, they don't get to see persons like themselves, they don't get to see the representation of what does science look like, who has gone before me that has done tremendous work in science. And currently, we have a fun summer camp. I know you're hearing in the background of Wanda, you're hearing children. That's part of our summer camp. And fun is just experiencing fun universal navigators. That is related to our Young, Gifted, and Black Future Physicist program because physics is not a science that, or not a subject area that students get into as easily. So we're showing them, we're allowing them to have fun in physics. And that is a week-long camp that we just started this year. And I would say that it has proven dividends. It's not only about physics, but we want to ensure that research is part of their understanding of what science is. For our 10 to 12 age group, as you can see, we have several overlap with our STEM essay competition, our Young, Gifted, and Black Science Fair, and our fun summer camp. You're probably wondering, what is this science trivia? Our science trivia was birthed as a result of our science quiz tournament. We saw that the students actively enjoyed, they liked competing, they liked learning new information. So every week, as part of our virtual school program, which is our tutoring program for high school students, we engaged students not only of 10 to 12, but as I said, anyone who's interested. So sometimes we found some younger students engaging in our science trivia. And that was just short quizzes, still STEM based, still throwing in some pop culture references, but pop culture related to persons of African descent, not just pop culture for pop culture's sake. And we really found that they have been enjoying those sessions. and we will be continuing that in our academic year in person. Our university programs. Now, the event, as we said, the aim is to get our students into post secondary education. We don't just push them there and then say, well, our job is done. They can handle themselves. No, we really engage them also in the university sphere, and that is related to our summer studentships. So all of our programming that we have that is developed is actually happening currently. And it's not us, the full-time staff, that are doing that development, but it's actually the university students. And I want to really remind you of the tri-mentoring system. They're not, they're being engaged, they're being tutored, they're being guided along their development by those university professors, by the professionals, so that any information that is disseminated to our African Nova Scotian students by university students are is rather precise and accurate. So we don't want to be giving them any false information. And all of our programs, specifically the after school program, is in correlation with the Nova Scotia school curriculum. So what they're learning is what they're supposed to be learning at their particular grade level. University scholarships such as the ILA TD scholarship, the CMO scholarship, which is the Canadian Meteorological and Oceanography Society scholarship, the ILA Ocean Tech Scholarship. Yes, among some of the scholarships that are available for our African Nova Scotian learners at the university level. The BESH, or Black Excellence in STEM and Health Conference, is where we allow our students to get familiar with research and actually talking about research. And this happens in the spring, and it is very exciting because we want to encourage not only the younger students, but we want to encourage our older university students to continue what they're doing. They're indeed making an impact. It's that cycle. You see what you want to become and you become what you see. So once we continue that active cycle of being a positive reinforcement, then it can only redound to the success of the younger students and their demand, their drive, their passion to continue in STEM. Our summer student research scholarships is just another way that we are engaging our university students in pursuing research. They have to understand what it is to get into research. That means you have to look for a professor, you have to fill out the specific applications, and most of all, you have to have a desire for the research that you're getting into. Those are the many programs, many opportunities that we have with Imhotep's Legacy Academy from their K to university level. At this time, I would like to give you not a full blown example, it's just a review of what our after school program looks like. I say a review because our after school program is much more intense, longer, and there's more depth to it. This is just a brief summary of what you can hope to learn if the students decided they want to redo the experiment on their own. They know they can just click on our YouTube channel, boom, they have what they want right there, and they can connect to our resources. As you can see, for the professions listed, there's been an overall growth, a minimum of 2.2 times the number of African Nova Scotians that they would see in those professions from 2010 to 2022. The variety, want to mention the plethora of activities that we have. This is just another example of what that plethora does. We want to engage our students with a wide cross section, a wide option base of what those science activities, what engineering looks like, what math looks like. So that's why we have such an extensive list of activities, so that our students are not just one track. They see the world as possibilities, the endless possibilities that it has. And we also must highlight that even though we are seeing this increase, the average African Nova Scotian population is just 2.4% of that total population. So we have a lot more persons that we can be reaching of African descent in STEM. Now we want to show you the numbers that are related to ILA. In 2017, we were able to actually do a pretty extensive survey, and we found that we have 39 plus students from the ILA program that are at Dalhousie University, and then 38 plus students at other universities and colleges. And out of all of those students who we surveyed, 87% of them are actually continuing their pursuit in STEM, which is something that we definitely want to see. And we know that possibly now, since that's 5 years later, those students are actually making an impact in the STEM professions and will be the next set of STEM professionals that African Nova Scotian youth, grade 6, younger, 10 to 12, are actually beginning to see. 2021 to 2022 is our 19th year of operation. And during COVID, we were still able to impact or connect with 1,400 youth. We were able to engage with 1,400 youth during that time. We found that COVID actually made it possible. We were able to think outside the box and actually connect with our students virtually. Something that we didn't think was possible, or we actually didn't explore. But as they say, diamonds are made under pressure and high temperature. So through the adversity, we were able to make our after-school program and other programs feasible and effective for our students. We have what is called an ILA TD scholarship. So I mentioned that briefly, and we support our African Nova Scotian high school students in university. And we have 12 now that we're currently supporting, with another 12 on the way. A promise scholarship is essentially at the year that they receive the scholarship, they begin to build a certain amount of money, financial resources that can then be later used should, we're assuming that they do, that it enables them, that it pushes them to continue on in STEM at Dalhousie University. So that's what those 12 promise scholarships mean, that should they want to continue STEM at Dalhousie University, they're financially eased and financially supported with Imhotep's Legacy Academy. And I hand it back over to Wanda.
Thank you, Asher. So in order to operate our programs, you need money to do so. And we've been very fortunate in that we've had specific funders who have been with us since the inception of the program. TD Bank actually came on board in 2011, and they provided ILA through Dalhousie University with a $1 million endowment in support of the ILA TD Opportunity Scholarships. So since 2011, we've been awarding a TD scholarship to students. And it's been very rewarding to see. The African Canadian Services Branch is one of our primary funders. They have been with Imhotep's Legacy Academy, providing financial support for all of our programs since 2003. The National Science and Engineering Research Council, through the Promo Science program, they are a main sponsor of our after-school program. They also sponsor our annual STEM Excellence Awards, formerly known as our closing ceremony. So that award ceremony happens in May of each year during Science Odyssey Month, which is a national initiative. And the STEM Excellence Awards gives us an opportunity to recognize the work of our staff, our program staff, who do phenomenal work throughout the year. We acknowledge the contributions of our funders, and we also give out awards like the ILA TD award winners are announced at that time, as well as other scholarship winners and Student of the Year and Mentor of the Year. And then students have an opportunity to demonstrate to the public what they've learned throughout the year. And we usually invite 2 guest speakers, either Canadian speakers or speakers through the US. Through the Building Vibrant Communities, our virtual school program has been sponsored over the last 4 years, and the BVC grant is issued through the Provincial Communities, Culture and Heritage, Department of Communities, Culture and Heritage. of course, Dalhousie University has been a phenomenal funder. We are appreciative of the funds that we receive from the President's Office, the Provost's Office, VP Student Affairs, and the faculties of Science, Engineering, Health, Computer Science, Medicine, and Dentistry not only give us general funding for our overall programs, but they also contribute or are partners with us in the delivery of the Summer Student Research Scholarships. Those scholarships are valued at $6,500. So university students have an opportunity to do research under the guidance of a Dalhousie University faculty member in each of those fields of study. And ILA and the faculty equally share in the value of the scholarship. The Halifax Youth Foundation has been a very reliable partner, and again, they've been a sponsor of our after-school program, as well as funding received from the Out of School Time Learning Grant. They've enabled us to expand our after-school program to the Annapolis Valley. So we started there operating the after-school program out of two schools, Kings County Academy and the Northeast Education Center, Northeast Kings Education Center. And we've been able to expand that program so that we're not only operating the after-school program after school, but we do have an in-school component where our mentors are providing delivering science activities, but also providing numeracy and literacy support to the students at specific schools within the Valley. And then finally, but definitely not least, the Office of African Nova Scotian Affairs has funded several initiatives that we've had over the years. They've helped us with funding for our STEM quiz tournament. This year, they've helped with funds towards the Fun Summer Camp, and they've been a great support. In addition to those primary funders and consistent funders, we also receive funding from one-time sponsors and sponsors for specific initiatives. For example, we receive funding from the Black Professionals in Tech Network, which is based in Toronto, Ontario. They've provided us with funding that helped us this year with supporting our Young, Gifted, and Black Science Fair, as well as supporting some of the expenses that went towards our three core programs, being the First Level League, the ILA coding program, and the virtual school program. So some of the lessons learned over the years, the first one, and one of the most important, is that mentorship does matter. As Asher mentioned, that students like to see people that look like they do doing things that they would like to do, and it does make a difference. One of ILA's main premises is that, or our programs are based on the premise that you have to see it to be it. And so that's one of the reasons why we do hire university students of African heritage, and specifically those who are themselves studying in sciences and engineering. ILA itself is a long-term solution, meaning that we operate with we don't necessarily see the fruits of our labor until a 6-year period has passed, because our programs start in grade 6 and go straight through to grade 12. We really don't see the results of what the students are intending to do, whether they're planning to go to university and study STEM or not. And with a program of this size, community engagement is essential. So we know that we need to keep in constant communication with the African Nova Scotian community, and promoting our programs to parents so that the parents can get the students involved. We, for some of our programs, for example, with the virtual school program, we not only go out to the high schools in order to provide tutoring, but we also go to community centers. We had, prior to COVID, we had a site in the Shibakdo Connections in Spryfield that was providing tutoring to students in that area. We reach out to STEM professionals who assist us with mentoring through the professional development sessions, as well as coming to speak to students on campus about their jobs, what they're doing, what's required in order to do what they do. We have partnerships with the faculties, as I mentioned. Municipal, provincial, federal governments are important allies, as well as schools and regional centers of education and other outreach organizations. We have partnerships with other organizations such as the Discovery Center. And in fact, this summer, we have a Sprouting Science partnership with the Discovery Center, in which our organizations are teaching African Nova Scotian students how to grow vegetables and other plants. And that's actually happening in partnership as well with the Acoma Center in Dartmouth. Another lesson learned is that African Nova Scotian professionals are a limited resource. And so cooperation is necessary between organizations in order to expand the number of professionals, and specifically professionals that are in science, technology, engineering, and math. Good programs such as ILA are expensive, and our annual expenditure is now averaging about $450,000 a year. Last year, our expenditures were a bit higher because we were fortunate enough to receive some capital funding through the Supporting Black Canadian Communities Fund through the Department of Canadian Heritage, and that enabled us to buy some some equipment for our first Lego League program and for our virtual school tutoring program, as well as to install some privacy film in our learning center. And as Asher had mentioned, COVID to some degree was a blessing for us because it did force us to think differently, think outside the box as to how we could deliver our programs, continue to deliver the programs to the students. And as a result of converting our programs to a virtual format, we realized we were actually able to reach more students, reach a broader base of students through the virtual format. So coming in 2020, the upcoming program year 2022, 2023, we will be continuing the virtual component for some of our after-school program, and as well as going to delivering the programs in person. And then looking forward to the future, some of our strategic goals are that we increase our program reach. In June, we had a strategic planning session, and it was identified at that time that we do need to expand our program so that we're reaching more elementary school students as well, because the interest is increasing from the elementary school level. And we also will increase our program reach, as I mentioned, virtually. We will continue to incorporate a virtual component to the delivery. And we are always looking to create new activities, but we will need to continue to refresh and update the activities for our junior high school students so that the activities don't become stale and that we're able to maintain students' interest from one year to the next as they progress in their throughout junior high school. We are focused on making the programs more accessible to students of African heritage who are in French immersion or who are fluently bilingual. So we just this year in 2021, 2022, we went through a major project to convert all of our activities and our website, translate it to French. And we will also in the upcoming program year, we will be piloting the after school program at 2 French schools, one in Dartmouth and one in the Tri-County area. So we'll be delivering French after school activities to those schools starting in October. We're looking really forward to that. And again, that project would not be possible without the cooperation of the African Canadian Services Branch, as well as the French Programs Branch with the through the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development. And partnerships are important. So we're going to form new ones and make sure that we strengthen existing partnerships. We are nothing without the people with whom we partner, and we are very fortunate. We've been very fortunate throughout the years that to have extremely strong partnerships with people who really believe in our mission and who are committed to seeing students of African heritage thrive. And I think that's it. So if there are any questions, we welcome them. Asher did mention about the Black STEM exhibit as being one of our programs in the STEM essay contest. And I would invite everyone on the call to join us this evening at the Scotiabank Center in the Miriam McCain building here on campus. The STEM for the final presentations for the STEM quiz contest, the STEM essay contest that we're having. So thank you very much.